First of all, let me just thank you from the bottom of my heart for your words during your TED Talk. I know it was back in 2015, but your words just resonate very deeply with me and a lot of others.
One thing that keeps me puzzled, despite having studied finance and economics at the world's best universities, the following question remains unanswered. Why is it that 5,000 units of our currency is worth 1 unit of your currency, where we are the ones with the actual gold reserves?
I feel, how is it possible that Africans make up 95% of the workforce, however, only 5% is owned by Africans in South Africa? So I feel ownership needs to be readdressed, and needs to be readdressed properly also from a government angle, because in 2015 the target was 26% were supposed to be owned by African. I feel ownership needs to really be addressed radically. It can't be a negotiation. This is not up for debate.
But from your perspective, a global perspective, when you see police brutality that's happening here, when you see the injustices happening in the United States against Black people, what shall we do? What's your observation?
My observation is that it seems like a movie or a record on repeat. That's been on repeat for centuries. And I believe there are two solutions to that. Keep the peace is not a solution, because Black people have been doing that. And pretty much since the Black Panthers, nothing has changed. That, to me, being organized, being armed is a solution, because I personally don't think it's conducive to go to war with sticks and stones. And it is a war. However, the part I do not like is among the rioting, they're still begging for acceptance. They're still begging to be respected. They're naturally, obviously expressing their hurt, but it's still like almost excusing their actions. We don't want to do this, but you keep killing us. Black people do not need to excuse anything. If Black people tomorrow riot and loot the entire United States, they have every right to do so, because they built it. Yeah? So Black people need to get out of the habit of excusing their actions, their behavior. They owe no one an apology. An apology is owed to them. So it begins right here in the mindset. Black people need to get out of the space of acceptance, of feeling compelled to apologize for their behavior, because they probably believe the picture that has been painted about them. But I wholeheartedly disagree with that.
The ignorance and the passiveness of Germany, it's not a good look. Mm-hmm. It's not a good look.
But Namibia and Germany enjoys a special relationship from independence. I mean, immediately after independence, or even before independence, the Bundestag adopted the resolution saying that Namibia is a special place in German relations because of the history. What do you make of that?
I would like to ask you, what do you make of that? If your special friend, because you like to perceive the Germans as friendly and we have this special relationship, we're friends, your special friend is not in the position to apologize, recognize, take responsibility for their mistakes. Do you really consider that a friendship? Well, is that rooted in respect and honor?
Well, respect and friendship are not only based on
based on respect, and that is utterly disrespectful.
It's fundamental according to you.
Yes.
But we also are the biggest development cooperation recipient from Germany in Africa.
Isn't that the least somebody that can do that looted you and murdered you? Isn't that the very least? Is that something to clap and applaud for?
Well, it's just a reality.
If I come and loot and kill your family, and then afterwards I bring you a few shirts, are you going to clap for me, really?
That's what's happening.
Yeah, but then you also need to ask yourself, where did you define your value? Can you really repay murder? Can you really repay genocide with a few little cheap donations? How do you define your value as a people?
you know? And that's where I feel something has to happen in the mindsets of people here, because I come across this quite a lot, and that's what's saddening me, where I see the mental brainwashing has taken its toll on people, that they came to believe that this is all they deserve, you know, after what has happened. You have to understand that so-called developed countries would not be where they were if it wasn't for free labor, free resources, and so on, that they took from countries like Namibia, you know, and many others across the world. So we can't just refer to a first world and a third world. We can't refer to a world or countries that have previously been colonized, and we can refer to countries that have colonized and made use of free resources and free labor, and that's why they're ahead of others. And that's the very least they can do, is give a little. But I feel that's not enough.
You said your definition of prosperity is something else. Could you elaborate?
Yes, because from poverty to prosperity, that already implies that Namibia is a poor country, which is it isn't. As I said, it has been colonized, it has been looted, it has suffered from apartheid. Apartheid is one of the worst crimes against humanity, okay? So that is almost like saying after Reichskristallnacht, the Jews were poor. It's just like, no, something happened here. You know, it's like talking to a doctor that will just analyze the symptoms. That is not healing, you know, and that will never really tackle the root and will not solve the problem. Namibia is not poor. The question should be, how can we redefine prosperity? How can we improve prosperity? How can we readdress our resources? You know, that should be the question. But poverty is a consequence of what has happened here. You know, these are symptoms. Namibia is not poor. Namibia had a cancer, so to speak, you know, and it still doesn't have regrown its hair. You know, it's still suffering from that chemotherapy. Namibia is bold at the moment, but Namibia is not poor. It's one of the richest countries in the world. Africa is gradually ridding themselves of that cancer, you know, so...
In terms of mental slavery?
These are, I would say, symptoms of the cancer, you know, because if you suffer from cancer, it will have a psychological effect on you. But Africa is not poor, never has been, you know, it's been portrayed, it has been looted, and it's being looted as we speak. So it's a constant battle.
Yes, and what Africa's role is in terms of giving also to the Western world, the developed world, and how we should redefine that relationship.
Yeah, number one, we all must be very careful in our terminology. I feel every day we feed into the lie. You know, we all have played this tell-a-tale game since the beginning of time. By the way, we've been brainwashed through history, misconstrued history in schools and so on, you know, where we've been taught one perspective, the perspective of the colonizer around the world. And so we need to all acknowledge that aid is not coming from the Western world to Africa. It never has, never. Aid is coming from Africa to the Western world.